We already know an awful lot about Porsche's ultimate supercar, the 918 Spyder. We know it's the most sophisticated supercar there has ever been, with a level of complexity that simply blows your mind. We also know that as recently as this summer, the prototypes were fearsomely quick, but still needed a huge amount of detail engineering to finesse the dynamics. Since then, a record-breaking 6-minute 57 lap of the Nürburgring Nordschleife had proved that the work had been done, and done brilliantly. What we didn't know, and what we were all desperate to find out, was just how good the finished car would be. Now, at last, that time has come. So ride with us real time as the 918 Spyder reveals its secrets and we experience a truly remarkable new supercar for the very first time.
So we have 6 laps only of Valencia. First few corners are in electric mode, and then we work our way through the 5 driver modes. So we go to sport for 2 laps, and then race for 2 laps, and then we get to press the red button and go for hot lap, which gives you absolutely everything it's got for a lap, and then a cool down lap where we regen. But this is bizarre, isn't it? It is like something from Back to the Future. It really is. What a strange experience. So we're following a new Turbo S as our pace car. Okay, so now I switch. There's the engine. And I'll leave the PDK box to do its own thing to start with, just to see how that feels. Electric's great, but doesn't that V8 sound fantastic? I was lucky enough to drive an early development prototype of this car earlier in the year, and whilst the engine and the transmission were really impressive, the brakes were really quite unpleasant. The feel was really inconsistent, and it just gave you that I've outbraked myself feeling every time you use them hard. And I was talking to Frank Walliser, who's Mr. 918 Spyder basically, last night, and they knew that the brakes were bad, and he said, just trust me, drive the car tomorrow and you'll see how much progress we've made. And I have to say, they're so much better. I think brakes are always a defining feature of a high performance Porsche, any Porsche, and that's what made the prototype of this feel so wrong, because it didn't have the finesse and the precision. But this, straight away, it feels a much more intuitive car to use the brakes. There's still a slightly strange sensation, like you're pushing against a variable foot. You can feel a force come back at you through the pedal, but it's much more consistent. And the things that are being managed within the braking system, they just make your head hurt with the technology that they're using. Because the brakes and the electric motors are used for regenerative energy, they switch the motor to a generator, and that alone will give you half a G of braking. So they then have to seamlessly integrate the conventional brakes into that process if you want more than half a G of stopping power. And to do that without you sensing when that transition occurs must take such fine calibration, and that's what's taken the time. I think they've spent the last 5 or 6 months just sweating all those details, and it's those details that will make this a true Porsche supercar. That engine is just so angry and so sharp. the stability of the car, you know, we've criticised it for the weight. In this Visac pack car, it's 30 kilos, I think. Now we're going into race mode. And it's just eating up this Turbo S in front. I've had to back right off. But yeah, the weight of the car, again, they've managed to disguise it so well. Sorry, I'm going a bit quiet. In race mode, you get a much bigger hit of electric power, and you can feel it. You get so much more punch, and you can feel when you get additional drive and torque vectoring through the front wheels. It just transforms the car. It just makes it do things that it shouldn't do. Still feel the weight at the back. It's still a mid-engine car, but it's a lot of fun. Through this long corner, I can see the 991 Turbo S is just shimmying, and this just feels rock solid. To back off again. Wow, what a brilliant car. I just can't take the smile off my face. When you really get into the brakes, there's still you can feel there's more than one thing going on with these. There's the regen stopping power, and then you've got the regular PCCB brakes as well. So you are mindful of that, but it doesn't really get in the way of the driving experience or the confidence that you have in the car. I'm sure you've all seen the Nürburgring lap times, and I'm sure you've seen the footage, and you can just tell from the way Mark Lieb is driving the car that he couldn't do that if he didn't have the confidence in the way the car is going to stop and in its balance, and that's what you feel here. Wow. That is really impressive. Okay, now we get the hot lap mode, which is absolutely everything, and it depletes the battery. It's not regenerating, it's giving you everything the car has, and it's just, again, it's eating up this Turbo S like it's Golf GTI or something, which is bonkers. I have to say, much as it goes against my principles, I've not been using the paddles. This is the car doing every gear shift for me, because quite frankly, it's going to do a better job than I am. Wow. What a car. That is a very cool experience. You just want to push it harder and harder and harder, and it tells you it might be a digital car, but it still communicates in a language that a Luddite like me understands. what you want it to do, it does what you want it to do. You can position it on the circuit with such precision. That is, considering I've not driven this circuit before, and I've not driven this car before, that is mega. Really mega. That is super impressive. The balance of the car is, it adjusts mid-corner depending on the torque vectoring to the front wheels. You feel it have this nice mid-engine adjustability, and then on the corner exit, when you really floor it, it just pulls the car out. What a cool thing. Cool down lap. Wow. I have to say, much as I love Carrera GT with a gear stick up here and not paddles down here, and I really love that car, you just can't imagine this car with a gear stick. It just would be totally wrong, and it would deny you so much of the overall driving experience that this gives you. It is the future, and unfortunately for people like us, we're living through it's an age of transition. We're sort of leaving behind the things that we know, and we have to embrace things that perhaps are different and don't do things as they used to. And I think we can celebrate the old, and with a car like this, I think we can celebrate the new. It's a totally different experience, it's a totally different challenge, and yes, the car is so much faster than a Carrera GT would be, and it asks so much less of you as a driver. And I think a little bit of all of us would like to think that we can make a difference to how a car goes. Often not for the better, but still there's satisfaction in that. And this car gives you satisfaction in other ways. You marvel at what it can do. It may not be to a purist the idea of this car that's 300 kilos lighter with no batteries and just that screaming V8. That sounds like heaven to me. But I came here quite sceptical and quite concerned after the prototype drive, but they really have done so much work to this, and it makes your mouth dry, it makes your heart pump, it puts a massive smile on your face, and that's what supercars have always done. And clearly when you let Porsche build something like this, it's what supercars will still do. So yeah, hats off, what a car.